Welcome to today's tutorial. Now we want to look at the muscles of the hand. Muscles of hand. Now roughly we have about 20 muscles of the hand. Well, it could be 19, but usually we have about 20 muscles of the hand. And these muscles are organized into about 5 groups. Now we have what we call muscles, thinner muscles. We have hypotenuse muscles. We have lumbricals. And we have interosseous muscles. So, the thinner muscles are here, the hypotenuse muscles are here. And we'll look at the other ones. Interosseous, we have Palma interosseous, and then we have dorsal interosseous. So we'll be looking at all of them. Now, so let's start with the thinner muscles. Generally we can give a sketch to that effect. Zoom in. Let me see. These are the carpal bones. Now, what happens is that carpal bones, their features are able to provide attachment to this flexor retinaculum. Flexor retinaculum, from adjoining, structures of the carpal bones. Now let's say this is the first metacarpal. Let's say this is the second, third, fourth, and let's say fifth metacarpal. Then we know that for the thumb, we have just 2 phalanges. For the rest of the digits, we will be having 3 each. Okay, so let's say this is the palm. These are the carpals with the flexor retinaculum and those things. Now we know that the tongue has the lateral aspect. So from lateral to medial, the proximal root, we have scaphoid, lunate, tricutrum, and pisiform. Assuming we have it this way. And then from lateral to we have, trapezium, we have trapezoid, some levels, trapezium, trapezoid, scaphoid, and then, capitate and hamate. Capitate and hamate, some levels take positions that they can handle, using that mnemonic. So these are the carpal bones. Now, for the first group of muscles known as thinner muscles, it means they are going to work on the tongue. Now, generally, we will have, 4 muscles which we call them thinner muscles. Thinner muscles because they are going to work on the tongue. Out of these 4, 3 of them are producing this eminence that you can see here, which we call it thinner eminence. Thinner eminence. So you can see this bump. This bump here is formed actually by 3 of these 4 muscles. So for very easy, what happens is that they take origin, because they will be taking origin from this area. So one of them takes origin to the base all the way here. Now that one is able to move the tongue away, so abduct. So we call it abductor pollicis brevis. We've already seen abductor pollicis longus. So this is abductor pollicis brevis. There we take origin from the tubercle of trapezium and scaphoid with the adjoining, fibers from the flexor retinaculum, and insert to the base of the proximal phalanx. Usually they will not go beyond the proximal phalanx because they are short muscles. Now the next muscle, which takes origin from almost the same area, trapezium and scaphoid tubercles and the flexor retinaculum. But this time around, it inserts at the medial side of the base of the first, the proximal phalanx, is known as flexor pollicis brevis, flexor pollicis brevis. So this one is going to adapt the tongue. This one is going to flex the tongue. Now the next muscle, which takes origin, from the same area, but this time around inserts to the base as well as the shaft, proximal shaft of the metacarpal one is known as opponent's pollicis. It's for the opposition movement of the tongue. Now, this time for opposition, you have to really, flex and internally rotate the tongue. So for opposition movement, that one happens, which means that you require the metacarpal one to do that. Once you hold it, you won't be able to internally rotate. So once it is free, then you can do that. So that is openness pollicis. Now, I'll come to the fourth muscle, which forms the thenar group of muscles. But let's go to the hypotenuse. So hypotenuse, that's below the little finger. So below the little finger. That one we have 4 of those muscles. They will also be taking origin, from the hamate, hook of hamate, pisiform, as well as the associated ligament, and then from the flexor retinaculum. So the same thing. What happens is that these muscles, these are thenar muscles, are just mirror images of the hypothenar muscles. So what you've seen here, so the same way, moving from here to the base. Okay, so we are going to have what we call abductor. Abductor, take it away. Abductor. So abductor digiti minimi. So abductor digiti minimi muscle here. From almost the same origin, just this area, hamate, those things. This time around, inserted on the medial aspect of the base of the first phalanx, of the little finger. That one is known as flexor digiti minimi. Flexor digiti minimi. Now, then the third group of muscle, that one will come all the way. Or let me just, for illustration purposes, come all the way and insert to the shaft as well as proximal shaft, distal proximal shaft as well as the base of the fifth metacarpal, and that muscle is known as opponent's digiti minimi. Opponent's digiti. So the same thing. So you need the fifth metacarpal for the opposition movement of the little finger, so that you can, flex and as well as internally rotate it. So that's what we see. So now we said that the thenar muscles, they are 4 in number. Now what's the next one? The next one we find is that one takes origin from the largest carpal bone, which is, capitate. That one has 2 heads, therefore 2 origins, and then inserts to the base of the proximal phalanx. So all the way from here. So you realize that as it goes, it also takes origin, attachment from that of the second and third metacarpals to the base of the proximal phalanx of the tongue. Okay. Now, so this head is known as the transverse head. Of adductor pollicis. So that's the transverse, it runs in a transverse manner. Now the next one, which runs, this is actually the oblique head. The oblique head. It is running in an oblique manner. Oblique head of adductor pollicis. Now the transverse head, which takes origin from the fourth, from the third, from the third metacarpal also insert to the base of the proximal phalanx of the great, tongue. That's the hallux, the pollex. This muscle is known as the transverse head of adductor pollicis muscle. Adductor pollicis muscle. So we have very strong adductor of the tongue, having two heads. So it's able to, because it has two origins, and that's what we've seen. Now, the fourth muscle, which we find under the hypotenuse group, we've already seen three, which are mirror images of those muscles from the thenar eminence. This muscle, is actually a subcutaneous muscle. It's actually a subcutaneous muscle. So usually it will take, you find it attached to, beneath the skin, and then also having attachment to the Palma Muscle. That muscle, which may be, very subcutaneous, so sometimes during dissection, we fail to, identify that one, just cut it out, That muscle is known as palmaris brevis. Palmaris brevis. But let me make this point clear, that those which are forming the thenar eminence, we don't have the adductor pollicis. Those which are forming the hypothenar eminence, in fact the palmaris longus, just contributes very little to that. So that is what we've seen. That's the thenar and the hypothenar muscles. Now the next one we want to look at is the lumbricals.
Move.
Alright, so let's move on. Now this time we go to what we call lumbricals. Now we learned about some worms, and lumbrical is a worm. So muscles that are worm-like. Now the interesting thing about lumbricals is that, one, they don't have bony attachment. They just originate from tendon and insert in tendon. That is one. And then two of them are unipinnate. Okay, we learned about leaves. Some leaves have unipinnate, with leaflets, they are unipinnate. And then two of them are bipinnate. So that is what we see about lumbricals. So let's see, assuming we have let's say this is a thumb. Okay, there's a little finger. Okay, so we know that there are some tendons which spread. But this is the deep muscle. We have, flexor digitorum superficialis, we have flexor digitorum profundus. It's the profundus that the lumbricals take origin from. So they take origin from the profundus one. Now, we said that there are four in number. So let's say we number them from L1, lumbrical 1, lumbrical 2, L3, and L4. Now, these first two are unipinnate. Then the medial two are bipinnate. Now, if you remember again, we learned, about the posterior compartment of the forearm. We saw those muscles, and we saw what we call extensor digitorum. Now, the extensor digitorum, we said that it will insert, both the middle and then the distal phalanges. But what happens is that they spread. They don't just go and insert as a tendon, but they are actually spread, giving an expanded tendon. That tendon, that expanded tendon is known as dorsal digital expansion. Dorsal digital expansion. So they are relating from the tendons, inserting in tendons, dorsal digital expansion. Now, the first lumbrical, we said they are four in number. So we take origin, it's unipinnate, So let's say this, okay, and to come and insert into, you know, this dorsal rectal expansion. This unipinate. The second lumbrical is also unipinate. Goes and inserts, you know, in the third finger. Then we have the next one, which is also unipinate, which is actually bipinate. Bipinate, third lumbrical. So there's L1, there's L2, there's L3. The third lumbrical goes all the way and inserts into the dorsal rectal expansion over there. And then L4 is also bipinate. So it's expressed this way, and then goes and inserts into the dorsal rectal expansion of the later finger. So there's L4. So these are the lumbricals, you know, the lumbricals. Alright, lumbricals. There are 4 in number. Alright, so we want to look at the interosseous muscles. Okay. We want to look at the interosseous muscles. Now the interosseous are organized into 2. We have what we call palmar interosseous and dorsal interosseous muscles. Now the palmar interosseous muscle, which we are going to learn first, you know, they can be 3 or 4 in number. Now let me go with the 4 and explain. Now, so all the palmar interosseous muscles are unipinate. So just remember the word pad. So pad is for adduction. So they are going to adduct, you know, adduct the fingers to the middle finger. So they are going to, you know, adduct. Alright, now, so let's see. We said they are all unipinate. So there's one thing. Now they are interosseous, means between bones, interosseous. So let's say this is the first metacarpal, second metacarpal, a third, a fourth, and then a fifth metacarpal interosseous. So interosseous between these muscles. Now, so the first one takes origin from here. They are unipinate, comes all the way, and inserts, goes through the first cleft face of the hand and inserts, you know, the tendon of the tongue. So this is the first palmar interosseous muscle. Now the second one also originates from the. Now one thing is that they are bringing these fingers closer to this middle finger. So what happens is that these muscles, they will take origin because they are moving this way. They are going to move this way towards this area. These ones are also going to move this way because they are going to do that where, you know, interosseous between bones. This one moving here, what happens is that it should move originate from the medial aspect of the first metacarpal. The second interosseous also needs to, originate from the medial aspect of the second metacarpal. So this way. And this time around comes and inserts in the dorsal digital expansion or extensor tendon. It inserts there. So there's palmar interosseous 1, there's palmar interosseous 2. Now, the third one, which originates, this time around from the lateral aspect of the fourth metacarpal, comes all the way and inserts to the index finger, the dorsal expansion of the index finger. That is the palmar interosseous 3. It's also unipinate. And the fourth one takes origin all the way, comes and inserts on the dorsal expansion of the little finger. So what we realize is that This is the palmar interosseous, fourth palmar interosseous. The first one, okay, comes to the thumb. Second one, from the medial aspects of the first and second metacarpal, but they are moving this way to help adapt the fingers towards where they have the middle finger. But for the third and fourth, they should orient laterally. They have their interosseous in the lateral aspect, and they go and insert their respective fingers. That's the fourth and fifth fingers, respectively. So you realize that the thumb, the middle finger is the one which is devoid of insertion, by what we call the palmar interosseous muscles, and that is one thing. But the question is, we said it could be 3 or 4. You've seen the 4, but which one could be absent? So most times you don't have the first palmar interosseous. Most times you don't have the first palmar interosseous, because we already have a strong adductor of the thumb, which was having 2 hairs, the transverse and the oblique hairs. So this is the palmar interosseous muscle. So we move on to the dorsal interosseous muscle. Dorsal interosseous. For the dorsal interosseous muscles, these muscles, so dorsal interosseous, the dorsal interosseous muscles, one thing that you have to do is that this time they are bipinnate muscles. Dorsal interosseous muscles are bipinnate. And we just remember the mnemonic dab, which means adduct, take it away from the middle finger. Dab. And they are also interosseous, so they will be taking origin from adjoining, Okay. So now the first one thing that you have to learn about is that their function is for abduction. We already seen that in the thenar and hypotenuse groups, we had intrinsic muscles which were, adductor, pollicis, brevis. We saw adductor, digiti, minimi. So it means that yes, we don't need any of those. Therefore, let's take away the thumb out, and let's take away the little finger out. So the first dorsal interosseous, is bipinnate. Take origin this way, and it comes all the way to insert the dorsal digital expansion again. Now this time take it that you are looking at the posterior aspects of the hand. So dorsal behind. So that's the first dorsal interosseous muscle. Now the second muscle is also bipinnate. It's also bipinnate. Comes all the way and inserts the dorsal digital expansion of the middle finger. Then the next one is also bipinnate. Comes all the way, insert also in the dorsal digital expansion of the middle finger. So this is the D2 and D3. So you can see that just the middle finger is having 2 insertions, of dorsal interosseous 2 and 3. Now, the fourth one, where is the final dorsal interosseous, also bipinnate, comes all the way and inserts to the 4th digit, the dorsal digital expansion of the 4th digit. So, ladies and gentlemen, in fact, we said we have 20 muscles of the hand. We've seen that they are grouped into thenar muscles, the hypotenuse muscles, the lumbricals, the worm-like interosseous muscles. We've seen that the interosseous between bones, the metacarpals, goes all the way, they will insert in the dorsal digital expansion. But what happens is that the interosseous, we have the palmar interosseous, okay, and then we have the dorsal interosseous muscles. Thank you.